This new side-by-side comparison of a document that was released with the Epstein files shows Donald Trump's name appears multiple times in the original publicly available version, but for some reason is redacted in the version the DOJ released. These images come from a federal court case, Giuffre v. Maxwell, not speculation. It describes Donald Trump doing terrible things to a minor until she was in pain. It even talks about how this individual had relations with Trump multiple different times at Jeffrey Epstein's New York mansion. And here's the version the DOJ released. For some reason, they redacted Donald Trump's name, but wait a second. I thought they were only redacting the names of the victims. Again, all of this stuff is public information, but the DOJ still chose to redact his name. This is even more proof the Trump administration is openly violating the Epstein Files Transparency Act. They're breaking the law. Redactions were supposed to protect the names of the victims only, not selectively shield government officials. Multiple reports have now documented missing files, altered pages, and discrepancies between originals and the versions released. This story is not going to go away. Every single person involved in this cover-up has to be held accountable.
Donald Trump's cover-up of the Epstein files and his involvement just got even worse and even more brazen. Donald Trump is actively deleting photos and documents where he's mentioned from the Epstein files. I'm serious. The House Oversight Democrats, who have been fantastic on the topic of Epstein, they subpoenaed the Epstein estate. They're releasing the photos that they get from the Epstein estate. They posted this morning, quote, "This photo, file 468 from the Epstein files that included Donald Trump, has apparently now been removed from the DOJ release. At Pam Bondi, is this true? What else is being covered up? We need transparency for the American people." I'm going to get into the story and more. Make sure to subscribe down below, drop a like on the video, comment. Let me know what you think about the story. Let me know what you think about the files. Without further ado, I just want to look at this photo first. You've probably seen this photo by now. It's the mantle in Jeffrey Epstein's New York City mansion. It's the shrine where he kept all of these photos of him and famous people. You have the Pope there on the left. You have Bill Clinton there on the right and other people. But people, once they saw this photo, immediately noticed that in the drawer that you can see, there's a photo that we've all seen of Trump, Melania Trump, Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell. That photo has been public for a very long time, but if you zoom in even more on the bottom left, this photo is kind of grainy. It's not the most high definition version. That man in the white shirt surrounded by women is Donald Trump. That's a photo we've never seen before. It's a photo that was not included in the Epstein files. So once people saw this, obviously it's incredibly alarming, and then that photo disappeared. As they mentioned in the House Oversight Democrats tweet, or the post on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Dataset 1 files used to include this photo, now no longer. If you go between right here, between files 467 and 469, that 468 photo where Donald Trump was with all of those women in that photo that we zoomed in on was right there. It was file 468. Now it's gone, completely disappeared. And the photos around it have nothing to do with Donald Trump or
the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, Todd Blanche, was just on live TV and admitted to removing this image of Donald Trump from their Epstein Files release. And he said that they did it because there were concerns over people that were in this photo. Although he says there were no victims or survivors in it, he said, of course they wouldn't remove it because Trump was in these photos. Like, he said that would be absurd. Then the question is, why is everything totally redacted? And why wouldn't you just redact people of concern in this and put it back up? Come on, guys. They think we're all stupid. We know why it was taken down. And it is because his boss told him to. It has to be. Why else would you do that? His explanation made zero sense. It's nonsensical. And this guy cannot be trusted with anything. We know why he did it. And there's also a total of 16 images, mainly photos, that were removed from the release. Why was that done? But he's going to have to not just answer to us, he's going to have to answer to Congress, because they have to provide reasoning for that legally. But they don't care about breaking the law because they didn't release everything. So we're dealing with a completely lawless administration right now. I just think that's the main thing everyone needs to take away from this. They don't care about the law. This is the Department of Justice ignoring law. This is the most serious time we are facing now in this country. Let me know what you think about all this. Comment, like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
We have more on the newest Epstein file release. This is Bill Gates with an unidentified woman, as well as seen here with another woman. We also have this strange photo from Epstein's iPhone, taking a little bubble bath. Epstein with Mao Zedong's cap on. There are multiple images of Trump with women that we do not know. Also, a lot of things about Trump in the files. This is a UAE billionaire with Jeffrey. Also, everything documented is redacted, like 95% of it. And all emails in this dump were redacted. Super illegal, by the way, to do this. A lot of videos were redacted. This is a manual for a baby massage. We saw John Paul II in the files in Epstein's home. Also, Donald Trump numerous times. These files today were deleted with Trump in it. Michael Jackson with Bill Clinton. Michael Jackson with Jeffrey Epstein. Yet again, more of Bill. And a lot of photos of Jeffrey with people in his hands that are not of age.
One of the e-files slipped through with an unredacted version, and I want to show it to you, omitting certain words so that this video can stay up. This is also about Bill Clinton, and if you see in that first part, it talks about my friend had you-know-what with Clinton and others. So he is just as guilty as anybody else in this and needs to be brought down. Now take a look at this third bullet point, though, because this one is the one that got through unredacted. It talks about another friend. One was of many girls that had relations with you-know-who. She confided to me about her casual friendship with him and definitely seemed to have a thing for her. And then it goes on, he liked her, read that in the quotes right there. He liked flicking and you know what, and until they were raw. And one evening they were together and she showed them to me and they looked incredibly painful and swollen. I know she had relations with you-know-who at the New York mansion. That is the tip of the iceberg. That is one of the unredacted ones. There was a redacted version and that unredacted that slipped through. It was not caught because there are thousands and thousands of mentions of this man in these files that even with the FBI working 24 hours a day for like a week, months ago, trying to scrub his name, it was absolutely impossible. How can you read that and not have a sick feeling in the pit of your stomach? How can you look at that man as president and think, yeah, I'm proud of that. I am not defending Clinton and I'm not defending him. I will not defend anybody who is listed in these files and is found to be doing these types of behaviors because that is absolutely unacceptable.
We have solid proof of the DOJ, the Trump administration, and probably Trump himself redacting his name from Epstein files. I'm not even talking about the picture that got deleted yesterday. This file here was in one of the original releases of the Epstein files, had Trump's name in it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Clear as day. On Friday, when they re-released this file, look whose name is redacted out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a woman's name right here that also got redacted. Why would they do this? This is corruption and a cover-up in plain sight. We know Donald Trump's name is here. We know it because we see it. See it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is. Trump's name. So MAGA, what possible reason would the DOJ and the Trump administration have to covering up his name when this file was already released? Are they trying to whitewash history? Are we trying to change history right in front of our eyes? This is corruption in plain sight. Now back to this picture right here. This was originally released on Friday with a whole crop of new Epstein file releases, and somebody missed it because there's a picture of Trump right there. This is file 468. Well, if you go to download this file now, it's gone. It's deleted. Why delete it? It was already out there. We know Trump has pictures with Epstein. Why delete it? Why cover it up? Corruption in plain sight. Did you think we weren't going to figure this shit out? And Epstein's survivors are pissed off. They've gotten together and they signed off on a letter trashing the DOJ and the Trump administration. And the letter basically says, you've over-redacted these files. We deserve justice. They deserve justice.
CBS News has confirmed at least 15 files, including a photo of President Trump, have disappeared from the Justice Department's webpage for Epstein documents without explanation. Handwritten notes from grand jury testimony, flight logs, and message pads. The thousands of records released since Friday are largely redacted, over 500 pages fully blacked out.
A lot is missing, and much of the material that we do have is redacted.
Bipartisan backlash, not because of what's been made public, but because of what's being redacted and withheld.
Records are heavily redacted, drawing bipartisan anger.
This photo of a missed call message from Donald Trump was also made public Saturday, but otherwise the president's name is noticeably absent from the government's releases.
Overseeing the release of the Epstein files, Trump Justice Department Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Blanche also served as President Trump's personal criminal attorney.
A lot of pages, a lot of lines and paragraphs are blacked out. That's not a good look, especially because the person in charge, Todd Blanche, was Trump's personal lawyer.
Also among the files, Epstein's book of contacts with the names of President Trump, his late wife, and daughter Ivanka.
It's about 10%. And so you look at it and you say, well, I thought we asked for all the documents.
After a law was passed through Congress in a bipartisan way, they're still refusing to give the public the documents.
Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, who co-sponsored the legislation, posted on social media the Justice Department's release, quote, grossly fails to comply with both the spirit and the letter of the law.
There's been a lot of effort and money and time put into redactions, not to protect victims, but to protect people in power.
We can hold them in contempt if they do decide to, redact perpetrators, if they don't release the items that we know they need to release.
Marina Lacerda is an Epstein survivor.
Who are we trying to protect? Are we protecting the survivors, or are we protecting these elite men that need to be put out there?
We know what should be in there, and we're going to comb through every single page and we're going to hold them accountable.
This is about shielding themselves from what comes next, or from what they'll try and hide forever.
Donald Trump is scrubbing himself from the Epstein files. Maybe that doesn't sound too breaking to you because we already know that. If we look at the first batch of files that were released yesterday, they're a mess, redactions, full pages were cut out, and it's just, it's a mockery. It's a mockery of an obedience with the laws passed by Congress to make the files public. It's a defiance of every single member of Congress that voted to pass the Epstein Files Transparency Act to find and have accountability for the survivors and to hold, the grapists, the predators, the P3DOs accountable, to expose them for their heinous crimes. Of course, yesterday, Donald Trump's DOJ broke that law, said we're going to only release the Epstein files in small batches over the course of the next couple weeks, even though that law required them to release all of them yesterday. The breaking news of today is that, they missed a couple redactions. There was a photo of Jeffrey Epstein's desk that was open, and in one of the, drawers? There's the right word. Drawers of this desk, there was a picture of Donald Trump and a bunch of really young women in bikinis, bathing suits, etc., so on and so forth. They meant to redact that. All right? Why? Because, they're redacting everything that could possibly jeopardize Trump. That's why, in accordance with the Epstein library, his name shows up 0 fucking times, or at least it did yesterday. Maybe they fixed that and that was a glitch with the search feature. So in response to them missing this redaction of a photo of Trump with a bunch of young women or girls in bikinis in Epstein's desk, they took it off their website. They deleted the file that they made public. The law forced them to make the Epstein files public. All at once, every single file in the same day. They defied that law, only released a small batch with a bunch of redactions. They forgot to redact this photo, and they took it down. They are making a mockery of our government, of this country, and the esteem that the office of the presidency should hold. And they are laughing in your face. They're not even trying to conceal their cover-up. Their cover-up is as bright as the sun, as broad as the daylight. That is insane, okay? This is Watergate times about 1 billion, and somehow he's still a supporters. This is by far one of the worst political scandals of my lifetime, possibly only topped by nothing other than January 6th. That was also caused by the man with the failure, Donald J. Trump.
There's more reporting out today concerning Pam Bondi's concerningly insufficient DOJ Epstein files dump yesterday. There's a piece out in The Guardian that says, outrage and legal threats. Trump Justice Department slammed after limited Epstein files released. We saw that more than 100 pages were completely blacked out, completely redacted. They also didn't release all of the information they were supposed to. They're slow walking it on purpose. Now, Amanda Nelson of Amanda's Mild Takes has a fascinating video highlighting, explaining a letter that Pam Bondi sent to members of Congress, trying to explain, like, oh, here's what's going on.
Kind of TLDR of this letter is maybe surprisingly, please don't hurt me. It's hard for them to scramble out of this because Trump signed the bill. The Department of Justice has been working to ensure that all responsive materials have been identified, collected, uploaded, reviewed, and publicly produced within 30 days as required under the Act. Today, the department is producing hundreds of thousands of pages of documents responsive to the Act, but not all of them.
Go watch Amanda's whole video. That was fascinating and enlightening. Pam Bondi is a little bit, I think, a little bit worried about the post-Trump era. Now, the Epstein Transparency Act required that this information be released, and Amanda's correct. Donald Trump signed it into law. The Department of Justice is not complying with Donald Trump's own law. And keep in mind, this was a bipartisan bill. Democrat Ro Khanna and Republican Thomas Massie of Kentucky co-sponsored this bill, and it got overwhelming bipartisan support. And now the Department of Justice is like, we're not going to comply with everything. We're going to slow roll it. We're going to try and pretend that we're complying, but everybody sees that we're not. So please don't be mad at us. Late yesterday, Ro Khanna released a video statement in which he said the Justice Department's document dump does not comply with Thomas Massie and my Epstein Transparency Act. It is an incomplete release with too many redactions. Thomas Massie and I are exploring all options. He talked about a possible impeachment of the Justice Department officials involved in the case and potentially finding them in contempt of Congress. He also floated the possibility of referring for prosecution those who are obstructing justice and not releasing all of this information. Now, it's Donald Trump who switched from campaigning on the release of the Epstein files to say, it's a hoax, it's a hoax. Don't release any of it. He called his own supporters stupid for demanding the release of the Epstein files, which again, he ran on it, and suddenly he pivoted to say it's a Democratic hoax, except that we have all of the information, and if nothing in it is in any way incriminating of Donald Trump, why is it that we have Kash Patel's FBI admitting that they redacted large portions, including parts that reference Donald Trump? Why is it that the information that we're getting from Democrats from the Epstein estate, from court documents, has far more references to Donald Trump than what we got yesterday, where there's almost nothing referring to Donald Trump? It looks like a cover-up. It smells like a cover-up. And members of Congress are saying, hey, this needs to be investigated. Something hinky is going on here. I mean, what is that something hinky? I think we're all keenly aware. I don't agree with Rep. Thomas Massie on much, but I have been intrigued by his pursuit of justice when it comes to the Epstein files and Jeffrey Epstein's victims. And he had this to say about the Justice Department's lack of compliance.
Why do you think he is working so hard not to get them released for so many months? What do you think the real reason is?
These files implicate billionaires and friends of his and political donors that he's trying to protect. And Epstein also had close ties to our own intelligence agencies and Israel's intelligence agencies. That's why there's so much effort in trying to stop this. And I do believe they'll try to stop it somewhere else. And that's going to backfire on them too.
I think that Rep. Massie is right on this. I think it's far bigger than Donald Trump. I think it involves an awful lot of powerful people. It can be really hard for us to wrap our brains around the possibility that this is a very widespread conspiracy. It is something that reads like it's out of a novel. It's something that feels like a conspiracy theory, but it actually probably is a criminal conspiracy. And we are watching the cover-up. Very wealthy, powerful people. And I was talking with one of my kids in the car about this yesterday, and she was saying, like, why is it that rich and powerful men are always involved in scandals involving children? And she said something that I think just really hits the nail on the head. There is no greater demonstration of how untouchable you are as a rich, powerful man, how you are above and outside the law. There's no greater demonstration of that than victimizing children, one of the greatest taboos in our society, and getting away with it. It's a flex. It's a power move. It's a way of saying, I can do whatever I want to whoever I want and nobody can stop me. I think she's right. I think she's right. I think that's a lot of what all of this boils down to. And I think Rep. Massey is right. There are foreign governments. There's an awful lot of money. There's very powerful men involved, and they are going to try as hard as they can to quash all of this, to make sure that nothing comes out, to make sure that Jeffrey Epstein's victims do not get justice. I think the fact that we are seeing so much public pushback, we are seeing any of this information come to light, to me, that gives me a lot of hope. It says that the people at the end of the day have more power than those who are wealthy and think that they are above and outside the law. They didn't want any of this coming to light. They didn't want any of this being discussed in the open. They wanted Donald Trump to just sweep it under the rug and move along, as has been done for years and years. And yet we are seeing this in the press consistently. We're seeing members of Congress who are allowing their constituents to push them. Please don't think that members of Congress would be doing this if you were not outraged. This is happening because you and me and millions of other Americans are demanding justice. The rich and powerful think that they can play outside the rules. They think they will never be held accountable. They think that money can buy silence everywhere. They think that money can empower them to victimize women and children and get away with it. And we're watching that false belief unravel. We are watching the power of the people be greater than the people in power, which is why we must continue to advocate for justice for Jeffrey Epstein's victims. And I think members of Congress like Ro Khanna and, strangely enough, conservative Republican Thomas Massey, we have to be supporting and applauding their efforts. We have to be on this like a dog with a bone. We have to be relentless in our pursuit of justice, because I think there is a thread here that we are pulling, and the unraveling will be far greater than we can even conceptualize of right now. And I know it feels like something out of some kind of crime novel. It feels like something that is the script for a movie. It feels so much more massive than we could possibly have envisioned. We must continue. This entire country deserves to know the truth. There is so much here that must come to light, not just, of course, for justice for Jeffrey Epstein's victims, but this is a much, much bigger story. There is much more injustice to uncover and much more potential for justice to be enacted. So we got to keep on it. We got to keep on it. Because the Department of Justice is going to attempt to hide this information. They're going to attempt to not comply with the law. They already are trying to not comply with the law. And we're going to see more pushback, more obfuscation, more hiding, more dissembling, more trying to skirt around and avoid the issue and push us on to something else. And we cannot allow that to happen. What do you think? How deep do you think this goes? How big is this criminal conspiracy? How much of a cover-up is going on now? And who do you think that they're protecting? Because as much as we know that Donald Trump is in there, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We already know British royalty are involved. We already know foreign dignitaries, powerful men in this country, both in terms of politics and in terms of Hollywood, celebrities, billionaires. We know that this goes so far. Where do you think? Where do you think it leads? What do you think is going to happen next? I don't really know. I just know that we can't be content with letting them get away with it.